What's up, G Show Land, and welcome to another episode of the G Show Podcast. I am G1, and this is the Geek Out. We got a couple of things to talk about. As you can see in the title, this is definitely our John Wick 4 and Dungeons & Dragons movie reviews. But before we get into that, there's a couple of trailers we're going to talk about first. Joining me today on the Geek Out is my brother from another mother, my tag team partner, if you will, when it comes to watching the WWE and WrestleMania. My brother JR, how the hell are you?
You rolled a nat 20 for that intro, so you get a critical bonus to your next action.
Oh man, well, I'm going to need it because my next action is going to be talking about a certain thing. Anyhow, I digress. That's coming up later. Real quick, man, I just want to say what a hell of a time I had this weekend watching WrestleMania both nights with you and the lady. It was one of the most enjoyable times I had watching WrestleMania, even if night 2 kind of sucked.
Dude, it was a blast. Night 2 at the end not only pissed us off, but it pissed off a huge majority of the WWE fan base because Twitter was lit up with people like, what the fuck? Is Vince McMahon back? Dude, people were posting pictures of their canceled WWE Network subscriptions. They were pissed.
Yeah, apparently he is back. He did work Monday Night Raw. He changed a lot of things to Monday Night Raw, and not for the good. I watched the first 35 minutes of Monday Night Raw. I wanted to see what they were going to do off the bat. They had Triple H come out. He introduced Roman Reigns. Well, he said, because they've been bought, WWE. They've been acquired by the company that owns UFC. So he was basically there just to like reassure everybody, like, we're still going to be us. We're not changing for nothing. You know what I mean? Without saying, like, we've been sold. And then he introduced Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns came out, and then, you know, he was talking, and then Cody Rhodes came out, and they did their thing, and I was like, all right, this is what I wanted to see. I'm glad they started right off the top. And then it turned into, like, well, we're not going to fight. We'll have a tag team match. Brock Lesnar came out. I was like, all right, interesting. And then 5 minutes later, it was like, you know what? I'm not watching this. This is terrible. So I shut it off, and I put on Resident Evil 4, and continued to play that. And then, when I go to bed, and I'm watching all my review shows, and it was kind of crazy because usually I put it on and conk out, and within 10 minutes, I could not sleep for nothing Monday. So I was literally watching all of these shows, and like each one was like 2.5 hours long because there was so much to talk about. And yeah, apparently Vince McMahon was running the show and calling the shots once again, and a lot of people were pissed off. So I say to everybody, Wednesday nights, AEW, watch the competition. I'm telling you, it's better. Yesterday's AEW was freaking fantastic. That's how the Raw after WrestleMania should be. No, but I digress. This is not the wrestling podcast. I did want to say thank you. I had a fucking blast.
Yeah. No, it was a blast. Thanks for joining. I mean, what can I say? You know, we do the stuff on my channel, you know, our top 10 horror stuff. And then the wrestling, it's fun, it's content. We always have a blast. The wifey had a blast. It was great. Again, thank you for joining.
Oh, yeah. And listen, honestly, you're going to plug your page because if you want to hear about 4 to 5 hours of us just rambling on, please go check out JR's page because that's what we do there. Here we try to keep it short, sweet, and concise, even though we've been gone. We actually went 5 hours on this channel at the end of last year, doing our best of.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to plug the channel real quick. Yeah. Check me out. It's both YouTube and Twitch at JR's GAM. If you want some more spicy content, you could check out our channel on YouTube, Project X Toys, that I do. It's a skate toy show that I do with my buddies. We're currently working on episode 5. It's about, I'll get a little tease, Mario Brothers and the Mafia and Gabagool.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And I'm voicing Mario.
Oh my god. What, you couldn't afford Chris Pratt?
No, apparently we needed an Irish, Scottish, German to voice an Italian. So I'm trying to, I'm bada bing. My buddy's like, do more Tony Soprano. I'm like, dude, I'm not fucking Italian. So I gotta figure it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you gotta do what you gotta do.
You figure it out. That's what you do. You just figure it out. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Bada bing.
Oh, well. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about these movies. But when you go to a movie, before we do that, you go to a movie, you see trailers. And this week dropped 2 important trailers, if I might say so myself, for 2 companies. Comic books. One I was looking forward to. One I was actually shocked it dropped because I kind of forgot it was coming out this year. And that was the Blue Beetle from DC and Sony's Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. The sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Can we get the bad one out of the way first?
All right, we're talking about Spider-Man. No, just kidding.
Oh.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Let's do it. Go ahead. Your take. Blue Beetle.
So I am not super familiar with the Blue Beetle comic book character. So I'm coming in with what vanilla or whatever you call it. I'm green when it comes to this. So I'm, the first thing I was like, okay, so it's like Iron Man and Spawn, because it had like an Iron Man and Spawn vibe to me. The I can do anything, Spawn can do anything, but it's a kind of a mechanical suit with a Jarvis. So I was like, okay, that's nah. I mean, we've seen it before, but I'm not gonna knock it for that. What didn't do it for me was everything else, because good God, it just we've talked about a little bit before, but fatigue. I'm watching this and I'm like, it looks just like a generic ass superhero movie with pandering. Can we stop calling Batman a fucking fascist? Stop! The Batman made DC so much money, and you're gonna still shit on him. Your literal next movie, The Flash, or Flashpoint, whatever they're calling it, has possibly 3 different Batmans in it, and you're gonna shit on him in your next film?
Definitely 2, possibly 3.
Awesome, dude. I swear to God, Christian Bale shows up, I'll shit my pants right there. Like, right there. Like, it'll just come out and be like, I'll be waddling down the stairs. I gotta get to the bathroom. Don't mind me. But
don't eat that raisinette. It's not a raisinette.
But the humor wasn't landing. Everything I was seeing was just, it wasn't landing with me. And like I had said to you, I was like, this is what James Gunn greenlit, and you corrected me immediately, and I was like, thank God, because this is where the future's headed with James Gunn. I am fucking worried, because Blue Beetle looks like shit.
Well, I know James Gunn said he actually loves this movie, so I'm like, okay, there's got to be more to it than what we've seen in this trailer. The vibe I got from it, yeah, definitely Iron Man vibes. And I am familiar with the Blue Beetle character, Ted Kord and Jaime. I love Jaime, honestly. I do. He's actually one of my favorite teenage characters in comic books. So I dig it.
Okay.
But definitely Iron Man vibes, but I got a real Spy Kid vibe from it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was like, okay, I don't think I'm going to see this in the theater, but I'll check it out on HBO Max.
That's what you say that, and I'm like, Robert Rodriguez's style is all over this movie. Who's directing it?
I don't know.
I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm curious too. I have no idea, to be honest. It would be hysterical if it was Robert Rodriguez.
Oh my God, it would be. No, that's funny you mentioned that, because even the little ship reminds me of the little underwater ship in Spy Kids 2.
Mm-hmm. And that's a legit thing. That's actually in the original comic books. That's a Ted Cord
really
Blue Beetle ship. Yep. Him and Booster Gold would ride around in that ship all the time. So I will say this. I wasn't enamored with this trailer. It didn't blow me away. It didn't make me be like, wow, I need to see that. I was kind of like, okay. Like I said, HBO Max, I can wait. But I did like what I saw, like from the cast. I like the kid playing Jaime. I don't know who it is, but I dug him. There was something about him that I was like attracted to, and I don't mean like, you know, like he commanded a presence in my eyes. I don't know what it was, but I was like, okay, I can see this kid. He's got something there. I would say if you want to know about the Blue Beetle, watch Young Justice Season 2.
Okay.
Young Justice Season 2 introduces that character in cartoon form, and that whole season is just really fucking good. Some of the best animation DC has put out since, like, Justice League Unlimited. So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I wasn't blown away. Wasn't blown away. There was some comic stuff that was cracking me up, like when his whole family was like waving him on and like, go Jaime, when he's trying to go get a job interview. That's funny.
Yeah.
Because I've seen things like that before, and I work in a high school. There's some crazy ass parents and families that do crazy ass shit like that. So that was kind of funny. But overall, yeah. If you have young kids, I'd say take your kids to see it. They'll love it. They'll love it. It's teenage Iron Man is what it is. But
I'm just
yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
Now I was gonna say the character and the mythos behind the Scarab and all of that stuff. It's really good, especially, and I feel like they are going that route. It's alien in nature and all that stuff. I gotta say though, right off the top though, the Blue Beetle itself, like Jaime in costume, was spot on fantastic. That looked straight out the comic book. Straight out of the comic book. That was gorgeous. Gorgeous. And the colors are popping. I really like that. It's very colorful, but it does also feel like it's more for kids. You know, if you have children, they'll probably eat this thing alive. And who knows? Maybe we come out of it with a little smirk on our faces. I hope so. We'll see. All I know is James Gunn said he absolutely adores this movie. And I'm like, why? Okay. There's got to be another reason. There has to be.
Like I said, I'm tired of the idea that, like, the Batman's a fascist. It's like, you can joke about your characters, but that's that political bullshit that I don't like in movies. And it's like people for the past 2 years have been literally like on Twitter and shit. I know you're not into the social media shit, but everyone's like, Batman's such a fucking fascist and da-da-da-da-da. It's like, don't bring it into your movies.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because then people, oh yeah. For the past 2 years, like, Batman's been getting a lot of hate because of he's fascist. And then, like, the political shit. Like, people are like, yeah, Batman would vote for Trump and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, stop it. And then you bring it into your movie, and I'm like, stop it.
I'm confused. Why would they call him a fascist, though? Like,
I don't, because, like, the social media aspect, people are like, he's rich and powerful, and, like, he believes in a police state. I'm like, he fights crime.
He fights crime. He's Batman. That's what he does.
But it's because he's straight, white, and rich.
I don't buy that.
Like,
I got it.
It's so stupid. Oh, the argument's stupid. Everyone on Twitter that says that is genuinely fucking stupid. I called them stupid. I'm like, you're dumb. And he's fucking fictional. Stop.
Yeah. See, and this is one of the reasons why I don't do social media. Like, I just don't. It's retarded, you know. I mean, feel free to post in the comments section on these videos. I will reply to them. I mean, I have no problem when we get any posts and stuff. But, like, outside of that, man, I've seen things. Look, I read a lot of comic books. Sometimes I find ways to read them, you know, ways I shouldn't. And there'll be comment sections, and I'll skim through comment sections, and I'd be like, huh, this guy's got a point up to this point. From this point on, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But his initial point makes sense. Things like that. But I don't comment because I don't care. My enjoyment of these characters are one thing. Whatever societal trend is going, that's its own thing. When Batman 2 comes out, they're all going to see it.
Oh, yeah.
That's just the fact.
And they're all going to say the same shit. To be like, Batman's such a fascist. I'm like, no, he's emo.
Well, speaking of emo, and not in an emo sense, but in an emotional sense, the second trailer we watched was that Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse, the second trailer that dropped this week. It dropped Wednesday. It dropped yesterday, as a matter of fact. Tuesday. It dropped Tuesday. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to say it right now. Okay. Had an argument with not you, JR. I had an argument with Gam Gam back in the day. Wasn't it legit? Or like, what? Wasn't like an argument. My whole beef with the first movie was, it's called Into the Spider-Verse. I read the Spider-Verse comics. I wanted to see more Spider-Man. What? Why am I a bad guy for that? It's the Spider-Verse.
No.
I wanted to see more Spider-Man. That's
sense.
all. Yeah, it's an animated movie. You can animate more Spider-Man in there. I'm sorry, but you can do that. You've got the money from, at that point, how many Spider-Man movies did we have from Sony with the young buck? With oh my God.
Holland?
Yeah, Holland.
At that point,
did we have 2 yet, or was it just
2?
It was 2, right?
It might have. It's either 1 or 2. Because it's hard to say because the second one came out after Endgame. So, like, I completely forgot about that.
Oh yeah, you're right. So you know what? Hold on.
Yeah.
Now I have to look it up because that was in 2019.
So I think Into the Spider-Verse came out in either 2017, 2018.
2018. So,
yeah.
All right. But still, you've got that money. You've got Marvel leasing Spider-Man, right? Like, not leasing. You're leasing Spider-Man to Marvel, so you're making that money. Then you're making a cut off of whatever they're making, off of their movies that Spider-Man's in, right? So come on. I don't want to hear it's hard to animate. They don't even need to be characters. Just put them on screen. They didn't do it. That's a small, terrible gripe of mine, but it's a gripe nonetheless. That being said, this trailer rectifies that entire scenario. The trailer alone, so I know what I'm going into with this movie. And granted, you can see there's only going to be a certain core group of spider people, but I don't care. All I wanted to see was Spider-Man, spider people, and bulk. And this trailer delivered. The first trailer delivered, but this trailer delivered even more. They gave us some gag reels, a really good one too, with that meme where they're pointing at each other.
Oh, yeah.
Because I paused it, and if I'm not mistaken, I probably am, but if I'm not mistaken, then holy shit, that's awesome. And it's one of those, you got to know it to get it. It was Sony it was the Sony PlayStation Spider-Man, pointing at another Spider-Man who looked like it was the Spider-Man from the Dark Universe. The second PS2 game.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't the Web of Shadows,
Web of Shadows, I think that's what it was called. He had that, but it wasn't like legit Spider-Man. It was a Spider-Man from that game. That's what it looked like. And that Spider-Man was pointing at a Spider-Man in a very retro, old-school Spider-Man suit that I immediately knew what that shit was. It was the Sega Spider-Man arcade game. I said, oh my God, did they just put 3 video game Spider-Mans together in that meme? And I don't know, I might be 100% wrong, but I know for a fact that's PlayStation Spider-Man. And that's Sega Spider-Man. That's Sega Spider-Man. So, I loved it. But not only that, I got what I wanted from the first movie in this trailer. But what this trailer delivered was something completely different. It delivered the story in beats that actually pulled on my fucking heartstrings. that actually was like, whoa, there's some stakes to this movie here, and they're not showing us shit. They're showing us a trailer in 2 minutes. We don't know what's happening here. But everything they showed was beautifully put together. This is one of my favorite trailers I've ever seen. Because it was beautifully put together. And not because there's a million Spider-Man in it. But because it's like, you see Miles and he's becoming a teenager, a legitimate teenager. And he's like zoning out. So when his mom's trying to talk to him, it's hard to connect again with your kid because they're like, you don't get me. And as a parent, you're like, no, I do get you. I'm just not going to give you all my life experience to make me feel like I'm on your back. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So I love that. I love that with him and his mom. I loved him in the bodega eating a beef patty. Oh, my God. And then the spot, whatever the fucking that villain's name was, he's villain in comic books.
Oh, that was great.
Oh, so fucking good. And then the parents in the school. And he's failing Spanish. Oh, he's got a B in Spanish, and mom goes crazy because she's Puerto Rican. Bro, I mean, it's story beats like that in a 2.5 minute trailer that I love. But then you see Miles has a huge decision to make. Right? Is the needs of the many greater than the needs of the one? He's a teenager. What does he want more? He wants... watch the trailer. Because it looks like Dad is going to die in that trailer. We don't know if Miles is able to pull it off and save both his father and the universe, or the multiverse. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I gushed enough. What did you think?
I loved it. The humor was landing. It's going in a direction that I'm not expecting at all. I really thought they were going to do what we thought Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is going to do, where he goes to all the different Spider-Man universes. I thought it was going to be something like that, where he'd have to be hunting down a villain going through, but unique. And it seems like it's, like you were saying, it's more of a personal story in a grander world. And that is the proper way to do it. Because if it becomes too big of a story, you lose your audience, but you keep the story honed in, very personal to Miles. And that's perfect. And that's one of the things I really liked about the first movie. I love Into the Spider-Verse. Loved it. The animation, art style, Miles Morales. I never gave a fuck about Miles Morales until that movie. I didn't give two shits. And I watched this movie, I'm like, yo, Miles Morales is pretty badass. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I like it. I have a fucking Spider-Gwen figure with Spider-Pig or Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham, yeah.
Still unopened from Marvel Legends, dude. Like, I loved it. The one thing, and I'm gonna have to rewatch the trailer, the one thing I was disappointed in is they had an opportunity to have the emissary from Hell show up, and they didn't have it.
No, wait. That's the best part of the trailer. The fact that there's so many spider people in that trailer. He is bound to show up. Bound to show up. Like, that's all I need.
How funny would it be if when they're hunting down Miles and, like, you know, you have like Spider-Man 2099 or 2077
2099.
Yeah. He's like, hold on, I'm gonna make a call. And then he just pops down, wow. He's like, the emissary from Hell. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Dude, it's coming.
I love Japanese Spider-Man.
Dude, there's no way. And again, that's one of those things. It is absolutely happening. Now, I gotta tell you something. I love that this trailer makes it look like Miguel O'Hara, a.k.a. Spider-Man 2099, is a bad guy. You know, I love that.
But he's not.
And he's not. So that's... What they didn't give us is what is happening where he's like, listen, one person's life or billions upon billions. I love this. That is what has me so excited for this movie. I cannot wait to see this one. I am super excited for this one. And I mean,
yeah.
Oh my God, what was it? Jeez. Damn. Oh, the introduction of Mayday Parker, which way back when they introduced that character in her own little Spider-Girl miniseries, I was buying those things. Like little digest books. They were...
Yeah.
Dude, I got I think 3 volumes of that. And I loved it. I fucking loved it. That she was a teenager. She was coming into her own. She became Spider-Girl. But I love that, Peter Parker was still Spider-Man. He was kind of like, he was like so nervous. He was that overprotective father, but she can handle herself. So when I see her in baby form, I was like, oh my God, they fucking did that. It's the little things. It's the little things that my Spider-Man fan heart craves, and I love it. Oh, or when Miguel O'Hara said, like, Doctor Strange and that Spider-Man from Earth 1999 fucked up everything. I loved it. I loved it because they're referencing the Marvel Universe. It's things like that put it together.
Oh yeah, and one of my 5 favorite Spider-Man is Spider-Punk. He's in the trailer for a second, rocking out on the guitar. I was like, yeah, I have his figure too.
Dude, it's a fantastic trailer. The last time I felt hype like this for a trailer was that second trailer for Godzilla King of the Monsters. That trailer is still my favorite trailer of all time. It just perfectly captured everything I needed, even if the movie didn't live up to that hype that the trailer had brought me. That's my thing. But yeah, man, oh my God. Spider-Man, Blue Beetle, 2 teenage bug movies.
I'm just going to say, I'm going to go see the Spider-Man movie in theaters for fucking sure.
Oh, absolutely. Hands down.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I cannot wait for it. But, we talked about trailers for as long as trailers usually play in a theater, about a half hour. So...
Oh, my God, yes.
So let's start talking about the real reason why we're here. And that's to review John Wick 4 and Dungeons and Dragons. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You're getting 2 reviews for the price of 1. So I'm gonna ask my brother JR, what should we start with first?
I want to get the bad out of the way.
Dungeons and Dragons it is.
Oh my God. I know for a damn fact that's not true. No, I want to get the bad out of the way because the good was so good and surprisingly fucking good in some cases.
Okay, well, here we go then. Being it's only us 2, and we've already had this conversation, we're both on the same page, so we know. But yous don't, so here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with the utmost regret that I have to inform y'all that neither JR nor myself liked John Wick 4. I mean, we have our reasons. Yeah, go ahead.
I would go as far as to say I fucking hated John Wick 4.
Woo-wee!
Because the more I sit here and think about it, the more I'm just like, what the fuck were you doing?
Yep. So, let's talk about it. I'm going to say it right now. Starting from here on out. Spoiler alert. We're going to go in depth with this movie. And look, in all honesty, there's not much to spoil. It's a fucking John Wick movie that's 3 hours long, and all he does is fight. He turns around and he goes, yeah. Then fight. The whole movie's a fucking fight. And if you're into that, that's great. My 15-year-old self would have probably dug this movie, but then there would have been a fucking little tiny thing in the back of my brain that would have said, wait a minute, something is missing here. And that, my friends, is cohesiveness. Because this movie is not cohesive at all. This movie is a fucking jumbled mess, as a matter of fact. The movie starts off with an epic fight scene in Japan that goes for about 45 minutes. And for all intents and purposes, that is a finale to any other action movie. A great one at that. So I sit there and I say to myself, hey, yo, what are we going to do now? How can we top that? And the answer is, you can't. You absolutely can't. And this is where the movie falls off a fucking cliff. The way John Wick falls off of 30, 40, 50 fucking story buildings and survives. I cannot, for the life of me, tell you how angry I was at this movie, to the point that I literally almost walked the fuck out. And I don't do that in movies. I don't leave movies. I paid for it. I'm going to sit through it. I'm going to watch it. And John Wick, I was about to walk out of. And you know what stopped me? I'm 3 movies deep and probably 75% into this one. And I owe it to the series and Keanu Reeves, who is one of my favorite actors. He really is one of my favorite actors since the days of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. I said I owe it to that man to sit here and finish this fucking movie. And I'm glad I did, because I can't lie. We'll talk about it, but I did like the whole ending scenario and what they did with the ending. I like that, how I just finished saying that first battle should have been a final battle in any other movie. This was very much non-action, all story. I dug that. But even digging that, I couldn't dig this movie out of a fucking grave. This movie was bad. It was bad and not in a good way. It wasn't. It was muck. I hated it, man. JR, please.
There are things in the movie that are good, and I will always give props to. I love the cinematography in it. I love the camera work. That's just me. When I see good cinematography, I gotta commend it, and it was there. The action is always top notch, even though by the end of that first fight scene, I didn't give 2 fucks for the rest of the movie because I was so exhausted from that first initial 45-minute fight scene. Costumes are great. That's pretty much it. Cinematography, some of the fights, the choreography with that, and the I like the samurai style super armored guys that show up in Osaka. I like the design of the costumes.
They were dope.
And I didn't know that they were going to do this. I never knew that there was a remake of The Warriors going to happen. But they did it with John Wick. In of itself isn't a bad idea. Don't do it at the end of your fucking film when I'm exhausted after the first 45 minutes in your 3-hour-long shitfest. That whole Warriors homage, great. The wife, huge fan of the Warriors. Me, I respect it. I respect the Warriors movie. I'm not a huge fan, but I instantly was like, they're doing the Warriors. This would be cool. And it was cool. If I wasn't so exhausted already. It would have been better if the movie started out. Because the whole point of the Warriors is the Warriors show up. I mean, you've all seen the Warriors. They show up to the can you dig it?
I love that movie.
He wants to unite the gangs and take over, and the whole movie's about the Warriors getting home. Imagine starting your movie with John Wick murdering the fuck out of everyone who betrayed him, leading up to the inevitable war in Osaka at the end, because it's like John Wick's going home now. This is his home. So you start it with that end sequence of him just trying to get to that motherfucker that betrayed him at the Continental. Because that's the thing. He betrayed John. And never once in this fucking movie was that rectified.
He didn't betray John. And you talking about in Parabellum?
Yeah, how he shot him off the fucking roof.
What was his name? Walter? Vincent? Walter. think it's Walter.
Yeah.
He didn't betray him. John Wick knew the consequences.
Yeah, which is fair, but for someone like John who kills everyone who just minutely fucks with him.
Yeah, but the thing with that, though, is he had respect for him. So he knew by going to him, okay, he knew by him taking John, and I guess that's a favor owed and a debt paid. Because he opened his armory, he opened up the fucking Continental to him in John Wick 3. They got raided, and he let John Wick handle the business in the Continental. So at the end, when the adjudicator came, they were like, yo, you know what the deal is. You know the score. And John Wick knew the score. He knew. He was like, yeah, I'm going to take whatever you're going to give because you helped me out. So him getting shot, like, that, again, debt owed, debt paid.
Yeah.
So I don't think he was going to go after him like that.
But it's just, I don't know. I felt like everything they were setting up, they just didn't follow through. They didn't.
No,
it's not even an I felt like. They didn't.
I agree with that.
They were setting up a war. They're like, John Wick's not dead. And, you know, what I imagined is, God damn it, the Underworld's king.
King, Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence Fishburne, thank you. What I was imagining is Lawrence Fishburne was going to be like, okay, John, you're allying yourself with us. You want to take out the table. I want to take out the table. Let's take out the fucking table. And that's when you get, you know, the underground network. They all start popping off people. And it's like the table and the underground, they're killing each other. The table's got John Wick. And that's when you bring in Donnie Yen or whatever his name is. On the table side, you know, John and him used to be brothers. That you got two of the best assassins in the world trying to kill each other and pop out their leaders. You do something there. You work with that. Don't just give us the fucking same. Oh, it's a new bad guy calling the shots. No. Parabellum. John Wick, Parabellum. Parabellum, that's pre-war. That's the skirmish before the war. You gotta follow it up. It's in your fucking title of your third film. And then your fourth film, you completely fucking abandon it to give us more of the same. Not only more of the same, but then you get completely fucking, you throw realism out the window. This motherfucker died 90 times over in this film. I don't give a shit. Say what you want. In the first movie, when he got shot, he was stumbling around. He's like, I gotta get a medic. In this movie, he's getting shot every other fucking scene, and he's like, yeah, I'm so cool. Look at my suit that deflects everything.
Yeah.
And cars.
Yeah. It was Winston, by the way. It's not Walter. It's Winston. Winston. That's the head of the Continental.
The story was bad. And if I can't get invested in your story, I'm not going to give a shit about your movie. Now, like I said, the fight, I keep gushing about some of the fight sequences. They were cool. The Osaka shit, that should have been the finale. That should have really been the finale of the film. Tweak the story. Maybe that's like, you know, the last safe haven for like John, because maybe Lawrence Fishburne and everyone's getting assassinated, or it's the last place for the High Table. The leader of the High Table is there. Like, he has nowhere else to go because John's murdering the fuck out of everyone. John has allies. And by the way, John Leguizamo,
way to go.
he's in literally all three fucking movies, and he's just not here?
Yep.
Get the fuck out. I loved his character.
Yep. Yeah, me and my wife were like, where is he?
It bothered me. This movie fundamentally is not only fatiguing as fuck, where it's like, my buddy was like, dude, it's John Wick 4. It's like, how many times can they do the same thing? I'm like, no. They're going to do the war. And then I watch this, I'm like, they swindled me.
Yeah.
because it's the exact same shit as the previous 3 fucking films.
2.
Except more unrealistic. I was getting tired, and it's 3 hours. Who woke up one morning and was like 3 hours? I'm Hollywood. Never make a 3-hour film that is just strictly action.
Oh, yeah.
You will kill people like me. I get tired.
It is frustrating, and it is tiresome, and it really is fatiguing. And I wouldn't say 3 movies because John Wick 1 is something special, but I will absolutely give you 2 movies. Even if I feel like John Wick 2 still stayed in the realm of realism up until a point, but it was still grounded. Whereas John Wick 3, you could see the twist and the turns, and all of a sudden, like, oh, I ripped my ticket. You're not family, but you get passage now to Morocco or wherever. You're gonna see Halle Berry in the desert and all this craziness. And fine. And the last battle in the Continental and bulletproof, clothing and all that. That's fine. But you could see in 3 is where the shift was happening. 2,
yeah.
To me, 2 was still a part of 1. It was only like a week or 2 after the first movie. It was still there. It was like still connected. The fiber was there. I was like, yeah, all that. We're still connected. We're a fucking thing. John Wick 1 is that's a genius movie. Like you said, he gets shot, he stumbles. But what I felt like they went away from and yet continued to build on when it came to the 3rd and especially the 4th movie was the idea that John Wick is the Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
That's what scared people in the first movie. People were like, no, leave John Wick alone. That's the Baba Yaga. Like, he's done. Don't fuck with him. He the Baba Yaga. And the Baba Yaga is, a Russian witch demon. I forget what it is because Tomb Raider got me all fucked up. I fought the Baba Yaga in the Tomb Raider game and she was a witch. Or she was a plant that made Lara Croft hallucinate that she was fighting a witch. I digress. That was DLC content, by the way. Fuck DLC content. I'm looking at you, Horizon Forbidden West. You should absolutely not just put DLC out for the PS5, you stinking son of a bitch. You think I want to play that whole fucking game again? I don't want to play that whole fucking game again. So just put it to the PS4 so I can just fucking go. Sorry, tangent over. Let's go back to John Wick and realism and
fair tangent.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, they went away from the idea of John Wick being the Baba Yaga and yet expanded on the idea of John Wick being a Baba Yaga without saying it. Because everything that happened in 4 was supernatural. It really was. It drove me fucking crazy. I'm sitting there and I'm like, he just fell off a fucking 50-foot fucking platform in a club full of water. So let me tell you something. Not only did you fall in the water, you should have slipped and broke something. Nothing happened. Then he got tossed off again. Nothing happened. But when the fucking big guy, well, he was big, and that makes sense. The big guy fell wrong, and he got Goomba stomped.
Yeah.
He got Goomba stomped from fucking Mario Brothers. Shout out to Mario Brothers. Goomba stomped. Neck went all down, head went into his shoulders. I was like, oh, wow, okay. That drove me crazy. The bulletproof fucking clothing, I can't.
Oh.
I absolutely can't. Drove me crazy. Because I'm like, okay, he's Batman without the cape and cowl. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, y'all can't shoot him in the fucking ankles. Is his socks bulletproof? Because I'm sorry. Even if his socks are bulletproof, you shoot him in the fucking ankles, you're going to at least break the ankle. Every way you shoot it. Even in the arms, because he's got to hold the shit. It's not deflecting the fucking impact. So I hated that. Because on some real shit, if those clothes were made of like whatever's in it, like the real Kevlar, it would be extremely hard to move the way he moved. He would not be able to do the kung fu fucking sequences. This is not the Matrix. This is John Wick. If it was the Matrix, I'd be like, kudos, yes. But it's not. So stop it. Stop. Unless you tell me that John Wick is actually the Baba Yaga. Not like someone who everybody thinks. No, he is the actual Baba Yaga. He's a demon. He's not human. Then I'd be like, okay, you went that way, you jumped that shark, I'm all in. They never did it. And it is impossible for this man to fall off 50, feet platforms in the fucking water where he could slip and break his neck, get hit by 10 cars, get not only hit by 10 cars, but flown into other vehicles. It's impossible. All the while getting shot at, jump out of a 4th-story window, hit the street, and walk like it's nothing.
Fucking staircase!
And the fucking staircase. I can't.
The fucking, that staircase, that whole scene, I felt like I was sitting there for 90 years. Nothing was happening!
He got there, and I think he had something like 5 minutes left, whatever he had. But he had time to get up there. Then the rest of the warrior gangs come out, right?
Yeah.
So he fights his way up. Okay. He fights his way up. Again, they get dudes with shotguns, dudes with fucking grenades, and he's just, again, deflecting with his fucking tuxedo. And it's not worn out. He fell out of a window from the 4th story. He got hit by 10 cars. And it's not worn out. I am sick and tired. This is where I was like, I'm leaving. Literally, when we got to that point, I was like, no, I can't do this. I can't do it. It's so bad. I can't do it. Then he makes it damn near up to the top and then kicks down all the way to the bottom. And now he's got, like a minute to get back to the top. And then Donnie Yen is there. And then they do it. They do it in an 8-minute sequence. He has 1 minute. This is where I get so fucking frustrated with these movies. Stop. Go watch Star Wars, A New Hope. Okay? Go watch that movie. Go watch the Battle of Yavin. Time it. When they say we have this much time for the Death Star to be in range of Yavin to when they attack the Death Star. Time it. It lines up. That was 1977. Come on, man. We in 2023.
And it's just fucking, it's so dumb. And I love the first 3 John Wick movies. I do. And it's just like, I'm tired of disappointment with finales. Like, this is supposedly the last John Wick film. It's not.
I don't believe it. I don't.
It's set up. It's set up in the end credit sequence.
Yeah.
When, Donnie Yen, he gets killed by the Japanese girl whose father died. Yeah, she pulls out a knife and goes up to him, and then it cuts to black. Because he's walking to his daughter with flowers, and he's blind. He's not exactly going to see it. He's in a crowd of people.
Maybe he smells her.
Maybe.
I left. I didn't even see it. I left. I was like, I'm out. Goodbye.
Yeah, I stayed. That's another thing I will give the movie credit for is I did like Donnie Yen's character and the tracker dude. Okay. So cool. Even though that shit did not pay off. That whole time, he was murdering people to keep John safe till the bounty was high. And then the bounty was high enough, he gets his ass kicked by John. I'm like, what the fuck was the point?
Well, he wasn't ready. He thought he was. He wasn't ready.
Yeah, it's just, it bothered me, though, because I'm like, you spent 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes building up to it. Then he gets his ass kicked in 2 seconds. I'm like, it's just like, don't spend so much fucking time on it if you can't follow it up.
No, but you got me defending this fucking movie now. I can't believe you. How do you do it? But again, like, it just proved that, he was a great tracker. He could have killed John Wick if he would have just shot John Wick. But he didn't. He felt like, let's go toe to toe. My dog will bite his nuts off.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that movie, man. I was mad. I really was. But again, I did like the end sequence. It was a different pace from for the past, the last 2 hours and whatever, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, that last sequence where it was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our guns and we're going to walk 30 paces and then we're going to draw. I liked it. It was like an old school shootout at the OK Corral. It showed. I also liked when they actually had to pick how that went down. I love that. They're sitting at a table. They have the cards. They turn over the cards, and this is what it is. And then you get to call what you want. When he turns over the weapon cards, what do you want? Do you want blades or do you want guns? We'll do guns. I love that. I love that because that is what 2 and 3 was setting up. The larger world. Not just John Wick.
Yeah.
The world surrounding John Wick. What did John Wick get himself into? That is what I loved, especially with the second one, and what the third one was going for too. So when I saw that, I was like, that's dope. They're bringing that in. The table has to be generations old. It reminded me of Assassin's Creed almost, So I was with that. So I really did like the ending with the pacing and the turning and then ready, aim, fire. I liked that. And then, okay, move up some steps, move up. I dug the shit out of that. I did. Change of pace.
That whole sequence was great. Even when Pennywise came up to Donnie Yen, it was like, remember you, Donnie? He's like, fuck off.
Yes.
He screams out, fuck off. I was like, dude, that was great. Why? There's so many moments in this movie where it's like there's highlights, but they're just... It's like watching a bad Godzilla movie, but it's got great fight scenes. It's like, fuck, this movie sucks, but the fights are cool. It's a scene skipper.
So what I believe happened on their way up is Donnie Yen could have killed them, but then if he would have killed them on the way up, he would have forfeited his daughter.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking happened is, and it's obvious, John Wick probably already knew, all right, they got your daughter. Here's what we're going to do. And they didn't show it. We'll get up there. You beat me. I hold on to that last bullet. I put a bullet in his head because he's got everything held hostage. Then you're free, and then I'm free.
Yeah.
Cool. They didn't show it. It didn't matter. It was, again, that was cool. Is John Wick dead? You see his gravestone. I don't think he is.
No, it's the way they said it. Do you think he's in heaven or hell? And what was it?
I don't remember. I was so pissed off already. I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah, it was something like, "Who knows?"
Yeah, who knows
where he is? Yeah, who knows? And I was like, "Yeah, no, he's alive." So, one of the biggest problems with this movie is, remember in John Wick, so John Wick 1, he's got to kill the son, and then he's got to kill the father.
Right.
Fine. John Wick 1 is perfection.
Yes.
Then John Wick 2, there's one asshole that needs John Wick to do something and then betrays him, so John Wick has to kill that one guy. Okay. John Wick 3 is a fucking mess with its plot. I can't even begin to describe it, but it's just fun seeing people fight with samurai swords. And then with 4, they do the exact same thing they did in 2, where it's one asshole that wants him dead. Well, technically everyone wants him dead, but it's one main bad guy who hires another guy to kill him. So it's like a mixture of 2.
No, 3.
That happens in 2 because
it's 3.
That happened.
So
3.
So John Wick 2.
But you know what?
Because I just watched them, so I know. So in John Wick 2, the blood oath comes out. The guy comes and says, "Hey, you owe me a blood oath." And John Wick's like, "Please, let's not do it." He goes, "John, I didn't do it. You came out. You were gone. I would have honored the blood oath if you would have stayed gone, but you didn't. John Wick 1 happened, so John, you're in again, and here's my blood oath. You owe me this." And that's, again, expanding the lore of whatever John Wick was involved in.
Yeah.
I like that.
Which is which is fine.
But in John Wick 3, and this is where John Wick 4 is the same thing. In John Wick 3, you had the adjudicator come in, and she's like, nope, shut it all down.
Calls the samurai.
Yeah, like, this dude's got to die. That's all in 3. There was no hit on... Well, there was a hit, but there wasn't a hit on John Wick. The guy wanted John Wick to handle his business, and then after he handled his business, then he was like, y'all got to kill John Wick. But he didn't call any specific person. He put a bounty on his head, just like in John Wick 4. They put a bounty on his head, even though he already had the guy. And the reason why the kid put a bounty on his head is because he had that little thought. What if he does make it through the night? Or what if he beats Donnie Yen? Then fuck. He needs to be taken care of.
But the problem is we're just retreading the same shit because it just feels like,
it's John Wick 3.
Just another inexperienced guy who thinks he knows how to kill John Wick, and he keeps throwing everything at him, and John Wick keeps killing, and then, I mean, the adjudicator lives at the end of 3, and this motherfucker got a bullet.
Because the adjudicator wasn't there to kill John Wick.
Yeah.
The adjudicator was there to fix the problem.
Yeah.
That's why Winston shot John Wick, because she was like, this is your problem, you know what to do. That was a good thing about 3. That was cool, because that made sense. Nothing made sense in John Wick 4.
But that's the problem with 4, is it just feels like, okay, so it's just another guy that just has all the power and is throwing everything at him. That's what I mean. It's like, it's just retreading water.
Yep.
Just do the war.
Yeah.
Just do the war. Have the Council of the High Table. Have like 5 motherfuckers deciding what to do because Lawrence Fishburne and John Wick are taking down Continentals. There you go. You don't have one fucking main bad guy. The table's the bad guy.
Yep.
That's all you had to do. It was right. You set it up.
Well, and that's why there was no name for Chapter 4. It was just John Wick 4. It didn't even say Chapter 4, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it just said John Wick 4, and it just... like I think, like I said, it's just more of the same but worse. Yeah. But it's like bloatware for my computer. It's like you buy a new computer, you know what the fuck's gonna be there, but they always try to add new shit, but you always just want it gone because you just want the operating system. You don't want the Netflix and all this shit installed. You just want a computer to play games. That's John Wick 4. Just give me what you set up. Don't just stop it. Bad DLC. That's what it's bad DLC. Fuck.
Wow.
God, it bothers me so much. This movie genuinely gets under my skin. Not only because we all agree it's bad. Because there's people walking out saying, this was the best one. I'm like, you're stupid. And you're the reason why these keep getting made. Stop it.
So
no more.
The other day when we were doing the wrestling thing, we were talking about this. And I was like, oh yeah, one of my guys, like one of the people I follow and stuff was like, oh, they loved it. And then I was like, well, no, wait. They just said, we're going in. We're going to see what happens now. You know. Well, I went to their YouTube channel today, and I saw their right after the theater reaction. And yeah, no, it was just like I predicted. Total corporate shilling. And that's what I felt. That's what I felt that this movie got when it came to, like, these online critics. Corporate shilling.
Oh, yeah.
I am not an online critic. I am some random dude who likes to watch movies. And a movie like John Wick 4 should absolutely work for me. But it don't. Because it don't make sense. Because it completely breaks the rules of what the first and second movie set up. Hell, even to an extent, the third movie. And that's why the third movie was my least favorite one out of the 3. Because I was like, yo, some of this shit is dumb. You know, like, it's dumb. But this one took dumb to a whole nother level. So when I see people that I actually like and watch say this was dope and great and it's one of the best, if not the best, I'm like, what fucking gold coin goggles do you have on? Get the fuck out of here. It's corporate shilling, and that's exactly... Oh, I'm going to say I love this movie so much so I can get a ticket free for the next one. Early screenings and all that shit. Nah, man, come on.
Yeah. It's corporate shilling, and it's because it's John Wick. It gets a pass.
But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. John Wick is an independent film, the first one, that made a shit ton of money because it was fucking dope. I'll put it like this. There's a movie, an Asian movie called The Raid. That movie is fucking fantastic. And it was so good that Quentin Tarantino said, nah, I'm going to bring this shit to the U.S. And brought The Raid to the U.S., produced by Quentin Tarantino. And he didn't produce anything. He just brought it over. And they gave it an English dub. And it made some money and shit. People don't really go to movies like that. But it made enough money to get a sequel. And in the sequel, they expanded the story. The first movie is basically just a SWAT team going into a fucking project house to clear them out of all the drug dealers. That's the story. What makes the movie is the fucking action. It's nonstop brutality. And it fucking works. And it's within 2 hours. Perfect. Perfect. The second one opens up the can of worms that the first movie started. You see the repercussions of that raid. That is fucking dope. When I first seen that second movie, I was like, I don't know if I like it. When I bought that shit and I watched it, I said, oh my God, it's the repercussions. This makes sense. This is what would happen. And it's fucking dope. It's longer. It's 2.5 hours this time around. But still, it works. They never made a Raid 3. You know why? Because the story was done. Because everything worked out. They didn't need to milk the fucking thing. John Wick 1 was a perfect movie. It made money. They had a perfect sequel. The setup of the larger world, John Wick's world, where he comes from, what he's involved in. I love that. The end of the second movie, setting up the third, was even better. Because now, John Wick, you're in deep shit. You've got a bounty on your head. And the third movie opening up is fantastic. It's the middle and on that starts to get to where we got to John Wick 4. Where it's unbelievable now. It doesn't make sense. None of this shit should happen. Yeah. It's dumb. John Wick, like you said, should have been dead 90 times over in this movie. And apparently he only got killed once. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No. Yeah. Like, as a typical John Wick fashion. Yeah. No.
Fucking just wasted potential. I mean, we could keep going on with it. There's always more shit, but...
No. Let's jump off of John Wick. We'll do our rating at the end of this second review, so we can juxtapose. So, John Wick 4 is out the picture now. Let's talk about the movie we actually did like, which is, for me, a surprise. And for JR, someone who actually plays, I guess a surprise too. Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves. Holy crap. Now, I'll go on record and say when that first trailer came out, like a year ago or whatever, I was like, all right, it looks cool, whatever. I didn't think I wanted to go and see it that bad. I went to see 65, and they showed an extended trailer, and I was like, oh, you're showing too much, but holy shit, what you're showing is fucking great. So now I really wanted to see it. But because I podcast with a couple of people who actually play D&D, hearing their reactions to that trailer, okay, I'm a little bit open for this. And then y'all went to see it, so... You know what? I'm going to start here because I seen it last. Y'all seen it first. Not being a Dungeons & Dragons player and not really knowing like the lore and what you can do, I don't know. I don't know if there's a campaign or I mean, let me put it like this. I don't know if like the rules of making a campaign is like you have to include this forest, X forest or X village, or I don't know. So I go into this movie without knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons. I used to play Dungeons and Dragons back on the television back in like 1981 too. That was fun times. Which now that I think about it was a fucking first person shooter. Holy shit! Good God Almighty in television, you did it first. But I went in without no knowledge of the game. I've never actually sat down, rolled the dice, and played. And I watched this movie, and the only thing that came to mind after it was finished was, holy shit, this was a perfect throwback to the 80s fantasy movie. Before Lord of the Rings came along and ruined it with, well, we gotta get this story told, and we gotta do it this way. No. Here's a character, this is what the character does, bam! Here's a character, this is what the character does, bam! Here's a magician, this is what the magician does, bam! Oh, I loved it. It was perfect. It was simplistic, and it fucking worked on every level. It was an honorably. No, that's not the right word. Honestly, a throwback to classic fantasy filmmaking. I loved it.
Yeah. So I'm probably gonna play Saturday. I play D&D a lot. I never am a player. I'm a forever DM. So I'm the dungeon master. I'm the game master. I'm the one that implements the rules, makes the stories, makes the characters, makes everything. Which, coming out of my warped, twisted mind, is great. Not last weekend, but the weekend before, my buddies wanted to play. I was like, okay, you guys are homeless people in Seattle. You're a crackhead. You're a religious nut, and you're a schizophrenic. And we made a whole one-session campaign out of it, and it fucking worked.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is how free Dungeons & Dragons is. You can literally be a hopeless crackhead, and it works if you have a good DM. I'm not trying to say I'm the best, but hey, I know how to have fun. So, I play loose, I play a lot. I implement rules, I take out rules, because you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can play by the book, and it's amazing, because in the Dungeon Master Guide, because I had to learn all of this shit, so there are 3 books you need, the Dungeon Master Guide, the Monster Manual, and the Player Handbook. You gotta read them. The first thing the Dungeon Master Guide says in the manual, it says, these are just suggested rules. You can do whatever you want. And I took that to fucking heart. So, our serious kind of campaign that I'm running, it's darker in a world with zombies and undead. The world is being ruled by a necromancer black dragon, and he's summoning the army of the undead to take over the world, and paladins have been fighting for generations to prevent this evil, but it's spreading. My buddy Travis is a lot of them like to be females, but my buddy Travis is a female barbarian thief, and he's like kind of schizophrenic, chaotic, evil. Like he'll just fucking cut you down for whatever reason. So he'll kill you and steal from you. My buddy Justin is a necromancer, but he's disguised as a regular mage, so he can, he graduates from the Mages Guild. But they don't know that he's been secretly dealing in dark arts, so he can raise the dead and summon minions. The wifey, she's a neutral ranger, where she comes around, she kills people from a distance, really good up close, but she's very intelligent. And then Jimmy is a schizophrenic paladin that's been fighting against the undead for generations. And you hear me say this, and then you watch the movie. You have your charismatic bard. You have your very strong, not so intelligent barbarian who's really good at fighting and rolls really good potato throws, I must say. Like, she's hit motherfuckers with potatoes quite a bit. You have your not so good mage, but he's good at other things. And then you have your tiefling, I forget what they're called. The shapeshifter, it's escaping me. What they're called.
Something with a D.
Druid. Thank you, Druid. So, you have, and then, of course, there's a paladin that has really high intelligence, but his charisma's real low, so when he talks, he, like, pisses people off. And you completely see that in the movie. He just doesn't, like, people are just like, go away. Why are you talking like that?
One of the best characters.
But that's what I mean. I could sit here and tell you the characters that they created for my campaign, and then the characters in this movie, and it was like, they knew when they made the movie what the fuck they were doing. Because, like I explained.
So, all right. As somebody, again, who doesn't know anything about the game, what you're saying is, as Dungeon Master, you create the scenario.
I create the scenario, the story. I don't follow the camp. You can use the campaigns they present to you and the stories. I don't. I create everything.
Okay.
The world, the story, characters, everything.
So you create the world, the story, the characters, the scenario, but the characters, like, you point at me and you say, I'm a crackhead homeless person, right? Now, is it up to me to come up with my own story behind why I'm a crackhead homeless person?
I could tell you, I don't even tell you what you want to be. I don't. If you can't make up your mind, we could come up with something. You could be whatever the fuck you want to be. I don't care. In a scenario like that, you could have been a homeless person running around pantsless with profusive diarrhea. I don't care.
No, I actually saw that one time without the diarrhea, but somebody was like running around just pissing with no pants on. And it's a true story. That scared the fuck out of me. He was running and pissing with no pants on. That's nasty.
But that's the beauty of Dungeons and Dragons, the game, is you could do whatever you want. You literally can do whatever you want. You know, as long as your party, like, I had, the wifey, because there's a skeleton about to attack them, and the wifey was like, wait, guys, instead of attacking, I'm gonna roll to talk to it. And she rolls a natural 20, or a nat 20, so 20 is the highest roll you can get. And it's a success. So I have to, instead of in my mind, he's going to come in and attack, I have to on the fly completely switch everything. And she talks to him. And he's like, well, you guys invaded my home. I thought you were trying to steal from me. Like, I have to make an actual character now out of this skeleton. And it's fun. And that's what the movie does so fucking great, is it captures what the wifey and my friends, we've all experienced, and put it in a movie where it fucking works. It really did. I mean, they used the 5th edition rule set. So I know you haven't played.
No.
But when you're a dungeon master and you see some of like the portal on the balloon bringing the gold out so people chase the gold. That is a troll move on the dungeon master like me. You have this big epic battle with this red wizard who's gonna turn everyone into zombies. Hey, can we shoot a portal onto that balloon and just lead the people away with gold? Yeah, roll for it. Oh, you got a 20. Well, there goes my ending.
Oh, so okay.
We have to do this. That's what I mean. That is shit that constantly happens in D&D, the game, and that they put in the movie. It's little moments like that.
I'll tell you right now,
I
would be terrible as a dungeon master, because if I've got something I want to do and they roll a 20 and it goes against everything I want to do, I'd be like, nope, I'm a Jedi. Do over.
But that's where this movie's, like, for the game part of me, really, like, connected, the lore and everything. But on a technical level, dude, the fact that they used real animatronics and suits,
oh god,
and as much, like, as little CGI as possible, thank you. It felt good.
It did.
It really did.
There's a massive amount of respect for the character designs. And why I say character designs, I don't want to say creature designs, because they weren't creatures, they were characters. Jarnathon. I swear to God, I'm waiting for some random dude to walk in, and it is a fucking Birdman. And it was fucking awesome. And I was like, oh my God, that's a practical effect. It was like Shin Godzilla. Practical effect with some CG. It was perfect. Perfect. Now, I will say, I might not have enjoyed that fat dragon as much as you did. I gotta be honest. I was just like, oh, for the love of everything, come on, man. We just had this cool fucking battle with this awesome character, and now we gotta run away from Puff the Fatty Dragon. No. Pudge the Fatty Dragon. I was like, I can't.
I loved it because in the games, dragons that sit around and don't do anything for a long time, that's what happens. They get fat in the lore. So when I saw the trailer, I was a little disappointed, but in the movie, I loved it because, first of all, Michelle Rodriguez is like, that's a pudgy dragon. And I'm just like, that is so pudgy. But I really liked it because, like, the dragon played to his strengths because he wasn't moving fast, so he starts rolling, and you, like, look at his face, the dragon's, like, smiling with his mouth open and rolling, chasing them. I loved that. I don't know why. It was just so weird to see, because you watch any other... You're not going to see this shit in other fantasy films. Let's be real.
No.
You're not going to see a pudgy dragon rolling towards you to eat you while smiling.
No.
It's not going to happen.
Not with the technical limitations of the 80s, but
yeah,
this would have fit right in, let's say, a Jim Henson production from the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
I look at movies like Labyrinth. I look at movies like The Dark Crystal. This movie is right in there with them. Beastmaster, even though Beastmaster didn't have, like, props like that, but there were some things. There's a couple of other ones. Crawl. It was a perfect fantasy movie that fit right into that time.
It was. I've always loved the movie called The Magic Sword with Basil Rathbone. He's in it. It's some no-budget fucking movie where the girl gets kidnapped, and at the end there's a two-headed dragon, and then his mother can turn into, like, leopards and tigers and shit.
Oh my God, why do I know this?
You know exactly what fucking movie I'm talking about.
My young brain is, like, blowing up right now, like, you remember this shit, stupid? Fuck, oh my God.
But, like, there's the ogre, and it's I forget the main character's name, but he's got, like 7 guys that were stone, and they turned into people, and he's all helping them against the 7 deadly curses, and it reminds me of shit like that, like you were saying. Like, hella throwbacks. Because all of that shit was based on Dungeons & Dragons, because it came out in the 70s. Dungeons & Dragons came out in the mid-70s. This movie, dude, like, it's a throwback to that. And then the characters, everyone acting their ass off. There's not one person that I didn't believe. Agreed. That just felt like they were half-assing it. Everyone came in and was like, yeah, let's do this shit. This is going to be fun. Michelle Rodriguez, it is so nice to see her not playing Letty in the Fast and the Furious for once.
Or just, it's funny because she still played a badass, but this is probably the best badass she's played. And the reason why I say that is because, and it's not a knock to Michelle Rodriguez, but in the movie, you can see the charisma between, the chemistry between Michelle Rodriguez and Chris Pine. There is a genuine chemistry there, and it makes this movie so believable, because you're like, oh yeah, Nobody's phoning it in. They're legit working together, and they play off each other so well. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, this is fucking perfect. This is perfect. I love Chris Pine. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of him as Captain Kirk playing off of Carl Urban as Bones, as Dr. McCoy.
Yes.
They had a chemistry. There was a chemistry there that you know, when you just said you were watching Star Trek the original series, right?
Oh yeah.
Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner have a chemistry. Forrest Kelly and those other two, they have a chemistry. That trio, there's a chemistry. In the J.J. Abrams reboot, you don't really feel that with all three of them, but you feel it with Chris Pine and Carl Urban as Kirk and McCoy. That chemistry is just there. And good God Almighty, that chemistry was there. That chemistry was there with Michelle Rodriguez more so than it was with Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman 88 or 84.
Oh, yeah.
It was. It was there. And I was like, wow. So then when you bring in Homegirl from It and Hansel and Gretel and then the freaking magician, there was a vibe, man. It was perfect. I thoroughly enjoyed everybody. Oh, God. And Hugh Grant. Come on, man. I could not believe it.
Dude.
I could not believe it. I was like, I love this dude. He's a fucking lunatic. I love it. He hammed it up and it was perfect.
Dude, so much ham. And it's God. It's one thing the wifey's doing because she really liked it. I really liked it. She took her parents, her son, and her brother, Jimmy, which I talked about earlier, to go see the movie last night. They got done with the movie, and she calls me. I woke up because I went to bed early. I was like, yeah, what's up? And she's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know my dad's opinion and my mom's opinion, everyone's opinion. And they were like, they all fucking loved it. Her dad's just turned 50. Her mom's about to turn 50. They played the old school Dungeons & Dragons back in the day, and they were like, that movie was awesome. Her brother, we actively play with him. He loved it. Her son, he wants to start playing with us now. He's like, can I join? And I'm like, sure. Like, it's not like we drink like the adults, of course. We just drink beer, listen to music, and just play the game and eat some gabagool. Literally eat gabagool. Like, I literally go buy gabagool for us to eat so we can sit there and eat gabagool. I don't know why it's a tradition, but it is now.
That's some legit dark magic shit.
Oh, yeah. But this movie does what the game did for me, is it grabs you, pulls you into this world, it doesn't let you go because you start to love it. You do. And that's what I got with this movie. It made me feel like that. It made me feel like I'm playing the game right now. Even at the beginning, when Chris Pine's giving his character's backstory.
And it keeps
literally what you do at the beginning of every D&D session or new session, you have to give your character's backstory to the other players. That's what he was doing to the audience. And for me, I picked up on it naturally, but it flowed.
Yes.
From a filmmaker's perspective, because it would make sense. And it was all there.
And what it did well, too, was you'll have things like that, movies like that, where they'll take itself serious, right? So it'll take people out of it. If you're not into that genre, let's say it was like the hardcore fantasy genre, which it is, if you're not into it like that, and they do that on like a deadpan level, people like my daughter and my wife, they might zone out. Whereas I'm like, all right, I'm intrigued. What's going on? Because I want to see where this goes. But what they did, to credit fairness, they pulled the Marvel. They add the jokes. The one thing that worked, though, is the jokes worked. They didn't. It wasn't forced. They didn't ham-fist it. It was like you said, here's my character. Okay, wait, let me go back. All right, man, I fucked up here. This is what happened. No, it was relatable. It was relatable, and it worked. And I gotta be honest. When I saw that second trailer watching 65, I was like, oh my God, I gotta take the entire family to see this, right? So we go and watch it, and to be honest, I personally wasn't feeling the way I felt when I was watching that trailer. So I was worried because I was like, I'm amping this movie up. I don't know if I just woke my kid up early so she could, because I like to catch the earliest movie possible. And this one was early. I was like, did I just wake up on a fucking Sunday when we could just sleep in and all this shit? And then at the end of the movie, she was like, oh my God, I fucking loved it. And I'm like, what? Where she's making campaigns right now with her friends. And
what?
Like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God.
You're kidding.
No, dead ass,
awesome.
bro. Yeah. As soon as we left, she was on the phone with her friends, like, yo, and they were planning campaigns. So I was like, holy crap.
That's dope. No, and that's what's great about this movie. Is it everyone's always intimidated or think it's like, it's super nerdy. Like my buddy Justin, he hadn't played, because he's like 46. He hadn't played since he was a teenager. So when I brought it up to him a few months ago, I was like, yeah, I'd like to play it with you guys. And he's like, I don't know, dude, that's super nerdy. He has been hooked since that first session. He is so excited to go see it because we're going to see it again Saturday.
Nice.
And it'll be his first time seeing it. He is so excited. It hooks you because it's just fun. And it's, I always say, if you have good DMs that know what they're doing and know how to storytell and know how to just take it, don't be serious with it. It's a game. And that's what the movie did. There were serious moments, but it got the fundamental core of Dungeons and Dragons for me is you don't take it too serious. You can have your serious moments, but don't be too serious. You're here to have fun. And that's what the movie did. That whole end fight, not only visually creative, because there's a lot of great visuals in this movie.
Yeah, it is.
When the girls or the guy's like stuck in the portal trying to get into the cart, and Michelle Rodriguez is trying to pull him out, and the camera looks over and it's just legs, and she's holding the legs. She's like, "Hi," while trying to pull him out. It's just like a quick little thing, and the guards are just like, "What?" Like, that's great. And then the end fight, the hands are coming out, was cool. The owlbear, when the tiefling turns into the owlbear, and she's like, does the Hulk with Loki. That's what it reminded me of, where she's like, beat the shit out of her sailor, and then Chris Pine's like, I think you got her. And she's like, smashes her, throws her on the building, and then she falls, and then the rubble falls on her. Like, that was great. Not only great comedy, great relief, because you're like, just a great moment, because you're like, yes, beat her ass, But it's a D&D moment, because she rolled a natural 20. For me, it's like, if you roll a natural 20 and you're beating the shit out of someone, I'm going to make it over the fucking top like that. That's what you do. That's what you do. You got to make it over the top. You got to make it great. And we haven't talked about it yet. The graveyard sequence.
The graveyard sequence. Man, I loved it.
Shit.
It was
so good.
It was so good because it was like an integral point of the movie, right? We needed that part. But it was also comedic without going overboard.
Oh, yeah.
And I fucking loved it. I loved it. The questions and the necromancy and the zombies looked fucking great. The flashbacks to the fucking battle that they're telling the story. Yeah. I saw the helm. Yeah. I died right then and there. That was just perfect. It was perfect. It was perfect. I loved it.
And the one guy who slipped out of the bathtub and hit his head and died.
Oh my God, that was great.
I was watching that and I'm like, wait, what the fuck? And he's like, oh, you guys need my brother. Like, they always mixed up our names. I'm like, that's great. Because that, again, someone rolled a 1 and you talked to the wrong one, and he's just telling you about how he was taking a bath, slipped and killed himself on the bathtub. But it was also great as the last skeleton had the one question and they just said, fuck it. I've had that in my sessions where it's like, can we just, let's just leave. Fuck it. Let's let him stay there alive for all of eternity until someone asks him a question.
That's so messed up.
No, it was. I love the movie. I had no genuine complaints coming out of it, and the more I think about it, it's like, yeah, it's exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first Dungeons and Dragons movie. I don't remember it, but I remember when it came out. I remember watching it. I remember saying to myself, okay, but that's it. Because I don't really remember anything outside of Marlon Wayans being in it. Honestly.
Oh God.
And Alfred from the Spiderverse movies.
Jeremy Irons.
That's all I remember. With this one had moments. I gotta give a shout out. I can't do this without giving a shout out to the directors for putting in the 1980s cartoon characters. That had my old ass up in arms like, yeah, son! Yeah! That was the only Dungeons and Dragons I knew in the whole movie. I was like, you see this motherfucker? Watch that cartoon. They come from Coney Island. They got on a roller coaster. The roller coaster went through a portal. Holy shit. Why didn't that dawn on me then? And that's like, so the only thing that was missing was the Dungeon Master and the unicorn. But it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. The characters' costumes were spot on. I loved every single one of them. And I loved the fact that they were in a death-defying contest. Yet they all survived. They all made it to the survival point. Now, did they survive?
Yeah.
We don't know. They never showed it. The cloud was coming down. The zombies were coming. But the fact that they added them and then they put them in a position where they won, in my head, I believe that they went back to their realm, which was Coney Island. I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah. And like, again, you know, there's Dungeons and Dragons players, like I came out of the movie, I saw it in IMAX, and some hardcore fans were like, yeah, I didn't like it. But there are a lot of fans that are just like, yeah, like, that's, you know, there's people that were like, that wanted that dark, gritty series. But then there's people like me, it's like, I can't even play it like that.
Yeah.
I could never see myself boring my party with this dark, gritty story. I created a dark and gritty world and let them do whatever the fuck they want. And it's like this movie, you know, it was like, well, here's the story. Like, or like a campaign. Like, that's what it felt like. A campaign. It's like, here's the campaign. This is your end point. Figure it out. How do you guys want to do it? And they did it. Even the side quest where Michelle Rodriguez goes to see her halfling husband.
Rocket Raccoon. Bradley Cooper.
Rocket Raccoon. Which I loved. I really loved at the end where she found a new one and she was biting her lip. It's good times. I'm glad I talked you into seeing it. I knew you were going to see it eventually, but dude, when I came out and I told you, like, dude, you got to fucking see it. You have to fucking see it.
No, I'm glad I did. It was definitely worth the money. I have fun. And again, coming from someone who doesn't know any of the D&D stuff, my D&D stuff is the video games, and it's nothing like that. I wasn't rolling dice when I played. At least I don't remember, but I doubt it. But even like the ones that are out now, you know, they're the dungeon crawlers. It reminds me of like Diablo and shit.
Yeah. Oh, and I gotta give them a shout out for not only referencing Baldur's Gate, which is still an ongoing series because Baldur's Gate 3 is out this year. I've been playing it in early access on my PC since 2019. But Neverwinter, because Neverwinter Nights is a game from like the early 2000s, and there's a D&D MMO called Neverwinter. It's like, they had some nice references in there. To, like, you pick them up.
Yeah, well, the fucking Portal one was right on the nose.
Dude.
That was perfect. I was like, wait a minute. That's Portal. Holy shit. That's awesome.
I loved it. Again, that whole, the build up to the climax, and it's just like, oh, that's how we led the people away. It's like, I'm like, the Red Wizard's like, where the fuck did everyone go? It was great. I don't know. And of course, the end, how they wrapped it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
I kind of like, for me, when I get tired when I'm DMing and I want to end the night, I literally wrap it up that quick. I'm like, okay, so you guys go back to the tavern, you're all resting. Okay, I'm done.
Go get a drink. I'm going to bed.
Yeah, like, I'm tired. It's 2 a.m. We've been doing this for 5 hours. I need a break. My throat hurts.
Oh my god.
Oh, dude. Yeah, it's fun, but I get tired. And like I said, if I'm not drunk by the end of our session, I didn't do it right.
Well then.
Because the drunker I get, the more absurd I get. And they notice that, so they're like, "Hey, JR, you want a drink? You want a drink?" I'm like, "Oh, let's fucking go." It's like, "Oh no, I rolled a 1. What happens?" Dude, you were walking down the stairs and you saw a 4-leaf clover. While walking, you try to grab it, tripped on your bootlace, fell on your face, and rolled down 19 flights of stairs with people shooting at you with your bulletproof stupid fucking suit on, and then you were a disappointing movie.
Can't even end it no more. That's perfect. Oh, and with that being said, it's time to give our freaking star reviews. Is that even a thing? We're making it a thing. Oh my god. All right. John Wick 4. How? Oh my god, how can I word this one? John Wick 4. What do? Do we do bullets? Do we do knives? Do we do feet falling from the fucking sky? John Wick 4, put it like this. Here we go. John Wick 4. You want to do 5 or 10s?
I do 5s, you can do 10s.
All right, no, we do 5s. John Wick 4, out of 5 gold teeth, what do you give it?
Look, the cinematography is always great. I always like the characters. The new characters were good. The action was solid, and the Warriors reference neat and would work, but it was just placed wrong. Everything else in this movie just didn't work, and I felt tired after the first 45 minutes. I needed a fucking nap. I give it a 2.
A 2. Okay, 2 gold teeth. That's 2 gold teeth pulled out of that big German guy. All right, I am going to say, as a conclusion, quote unquote, of the John Wick franchise, this movie was done backwards. I agree with JR. The idea of the bounty hunt happening at the end, when such a fucking perfect finale was done at the beginning, boggled my mind. The fact that John Wick was all of a sudden immortal, or invincible at least, he was in God mode, baffled my mind. Without explanation, don't give me the suits of bulletproof. He's falling from fucking great heights. That doesn't count as bulletproof. Okay? Stop it. He got hit by cars. He got smashed into other cars. I cannot, for the life of me, give this any gold teeth. This gets 1 silver tooth. So that's a -4 for me. It's a -4. I don't give a fuck. All right. Dungeons and Dragons. How many unicorn horns do you give Dungeons and Dragons?
As a D&D player, I loved it. As the critic, I loved it. This movie, it's exactly what it needed to fucking be. It didn't try to be more, but it surprisingly was more. Like I said, we have our expectations going, and I watched the trailer, I'm like, dude, this movie's gonna be fun. And then I watched it, and I was like, no, that movie was fucking good. There is a difference between a fun movie and a good movie. This was a great movie for me. I loved it. When I came out the first time, I looked at the wifey, I was like, 4 out of 5. And she's like, why? I thought it would be a 5. And I was like, I don't know. It's just, but I sit here and I talk about it and think about it more, and I'm going to go see it again. I'm like, for me, a 5 out of 5 doesn't necessarily have to be a perfect movie. It just has to do all the right goddamn things, and it fucking did, and some. It's a 5 out of 5 gold unicorn horns.
Wow. Shit. Well, as somebody who is not an avid D&D player, I'm going to go, and I'm going to be honest here, 3.5. And the only reason why I say that is because as much as I respect it being a throwback to those 80s fantasy films, I really didn't care for those 80s fantasy films. I gotta be honest. I was more into the sci-fi shit. Give me Terminator. Give me Aliens. Give me that shit. I was all in. I love Labyrinth. I do. Let me rephrase that. I like Labyrinth. I like Dark Crystal. I kind of love Dark Crystal. I like them. Beastmaster, all that shit. Crow the Conqueror. I was Crow the Conqueror. I was the monster one year for Halloween in 2nd grade. All that shit I loved, but I don't. It's not my favorite genre. Dungeons and Dragons was a great fucking film. Don't get me wrong. But the reason why I give it a 3.5 is because what I saw in the trailer during 65, I thought I was going to be a little bit more, I don't know, not entertained, because I was really entertained, but I thought it would have connected with me more. And I guess not being a D&D player, that trailer, I don't want to say misled me, but I felt the trailer more than I felt the movie, but I enjoyed the movie nonetheless. So it was a 3 out of 5 for me, because it's not a bad movie. I'd recommend it to everybody. But I also will say, it's not everybody's cup of tea. You know what I mean? But don't go see John Wick 4. If you have to choose a movie, go see Dungeons and Dragons. I'm just saying. Go see Dungeons and Dragons.
And one thing I will say, I'm glad Dungeons and Dragons is making a fuck ton of movie and getting the good reviews it is.
Yeah,
because it just goes to show, not every movie has to be a $5 or $250 million budget movie. Sometimes when you get good writers, good directors, good actors, you can turn something out for 100 mil for a budget and make a shit ton.
And it's shocking when you look at something like that because of the special effects in Dungeons and Dragons. It's on point. It's on point. It never slacks. There's never something in that movie where you're like, that looks whack. Never. Everything is done to perfection, and I respected that shit. 4 unicorn horns. I gotta take back that 3.5. Give it a full 4 for Jonathan himself. Good God Almighty, I love that damn eagle, man. That was
Jonathan.
Jonathan. I told my wife, my brother's name is Jonathan. I told my wife, I was like, I'm going to call him Jonathan from here on out. Matter of fact, as soon as I hang up with this thing, I'm going to call him and say, Jonathan, what are you doing? He's going to be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Nothing. But that will do it for this episode of the Geek Out. I want to thank my brother JR for being here with us. Thank you, sir.
Oh, shit, I rolled a 1.
Uh-oh. And then he died. I want to thank everybody out there, watching us, listening to us. Sure, we're going to get some slack for that John Wick review, but don't listen. Just watch all 4 movies in a row, and you'll see what I'm saying. It progressively goes into Fast and Furious territory. And if you want to come at me for that, come at me. I ain't never watched 1 after 2, so it don't matter. That'll do it for this episode of the G Show Podcast. I am G1, and we are out of here. A peace.